Hey friends, how are you? Hope you're well. I decided to do this video because I've seen a number of people on Instagram doing like red, white, and blue stacks to celebrate of books to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. I thought I'd do something different. I thought I would show you a book that I've enjoyed for every decade of the Queen's reign. So I've taken a book from every decade that I have in my own possession, and that I've read, to sort of just show you some of the books that have been published within the time of her reign. So the first book I have is Carla Storms the Chalet School by Elinor and Brent Dyer. I love the Chalet School series. I have loved it since I was a child. I have collected the whole series. And I'm now also collecting the fill-ins. There's a publishing company called Girls Gone By Publishing, excuse me, and they're publishing not only some of the original series in unabridged format, but they're also publishing, people are writing fill-in books, and they have been publishing them. So Carla was first printed in 1951. So in this we meet a young girl called Carla, obviously, and she is travelling with her cousin Maud, and she is getting sick and tired of travelling. All she wants to do is go to school, but Maud is like, no, you're travelling with me. Your father has said you're travelling with me, end of story. But while they are getting clothes for Maud for this next journey, Carla somehow manages to persuade her cousin, to buy her clothes that basically would fit the Chalet School uniform. And when they're about to embark on the steamer, her cousin meets friends that she knows, and she says to Carla, go ahead and go on. But Carla, she goes to go, but then she veers away, and her cousin is so Gabby Annie with her friends that she doesn't realise this, and Carla hides out until the ship has actually gone, and then she managed to get herself to the Chalet School, and basically she storms it. She, they have to take her in, and it's the story of, her time, her first term at the Chalet School. I really like Carla as a as a character. I thought she was a lot of fun, and this is probably one of my favourite Chalet School books, I have to say. We then go to the 1960s, and this book is also very dear to me because it's a book that my parents read to me, or it's actually a quartet of books, but I'll just show you the first one that my parents read to me when I was a child, and that is Sula by Lavinia Derwent. This has just got so many memories that it's just brilliant. We meet Magnus, who is more of an animal person than a people person. He does not particularly like school, but he has this great affinity with animals, especially Old Whiskers, who is like a seal that he has befriended, and he is a very talented artist. And it's basically, we had the four books are following Magnus on his adventures on Sula and off Sula, and it's beautifully written. You get little illustrations in amongst the book as well, and I just have such fond memories of being snuggled up in bed with my parents reading to me this book, and this series, so it was really good. Next, in the 1970s, we have probably the set of books that make me laugh out loud the most, and it's like this is full on belly laugh, tears streaming down my face, and this is If Only They Could Talk, the All Creatures Great and Small series by James Herriot. I absolutely adore this series. I loved watching the TV series, the original one with Christopher Timothy, Peter Davidson, Robert Hardy. They were just superb. For me, that is the series that was like Sunday night was All Creatures Great and Small night. And we followed James Herriot, who is a newly qualified vet. He gains a job in Derby in Yorkshire with Siegfried Farnan, and it's basically his adventures and Siegfried's adventures and Siegfried's brother's Tristan's adventures as they become vets in Yorkshire, and it is just so good. We then go to the 1980s. Now, 1980s, my parents were reading this series, and I don't think I picked this series up until maybe the late 1980s, maybe, or no, maybe not, maybe mid. I was definitely, I think I was still at high school when this, when I started reading them. But this is the Dirk Pitt series by Clive Cussler, and this one in particular is Treasure. Is a very worn and loved copy. I loved the Dirk Pitt series. I think Dirk Pitt was probably the best character that Clive Cussler ever wrote. He's written numerous others, but there was just something about Dirk Pitt and Al Giordino that I loved. The adventures they got onto, I liked the history aspect of it. There's a lot of marine biology, etc. about it, and it was just so good. And he just seemed to be able to combine a really good plot with history and lots of interesting, facts. I mean, Dirk and Al got themselves out of situations like, how the heck did you manage that? So, a bit James Bond-esque as well, but no, just really loved this series. Then we have the 1990s, and this one is a chunker. This one is a behemoth, but it is one of my favourite books by this author. I haven't read it in forever, but I've watched the TV adaptation they made of it and absolutely adored it as well. And that book is Coming Home by Rosamunde Pilcher. This book is it's basically almost a family saga set during just before Second World War. A girl who comes to Judith is sent by her parents to boarding school because they are going out to, is it Japan or Singapore? I can't remember. I've got a sneaky suspicion it's Singapore. And she befriends Loveday, and Loveday invites her to come home to her family home Nanchero in Cornwall, and Judith is basically almost like not adopted, but that kind of feeling by the family. So she spends a lot of holidays at Nanchero, and she experiences a lot of firsts at Nanchero, and it is just a really lovely story. And it does go through the Second World War and past it, and it is just such a really good story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you like Rosamunde Pilcher but you haven't read Coming Home, I would definitely give it a shot, because it is such a great story. As I say, yes, it's a behemoth. I am very lucky I have an autographed copy of this. So yeah, I am, I will, I think at some point, definitely do a reread. We're then on to the 2000s, and the book I'm going to show you is the first book that I ever read by this author, and it's what started me on my journey of her books and collecting them, etc. And that is 20 Wishes by Debbie Macomber. This is part of the Blossom Street series. I adored this book because this was set in a bookshop, and I hadn't really read many books set in bookshops up to this point. But I really enjoyed this because Anne-Marie and her friends decide on Valentine's Day that they're going to celebrate by making a list of 20 wishes of the things that they wanted to do but they never do, and then they try and work their way through some of these wishes, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful story. It captivated me, and it made me want to read more by Debbie Macomber, and I've gone on to do so, and I just absolutely adore her work. Blossom Street, Cedar Cove, there are just so many great, Rose Harbour Inn. There are just so many great series that she has written that I just absolutely love. We're now on to the 2010s to the 2020s, and I don't think this book is going to be, or this series is going to be much of a surprise to very many people, but A Discovery of Witches, or the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. This is my hardback cover of the first book. I have a paperback copy of it as well. But yeah, I love the All Souls trilogy. Matthew, Diana, everybody in this series, Gallowglass, who you meet in the second series, Miriam, Phoebe, the history involved in this story, the research that Deborah Harkness has done with gene mutation and her history research as well. I know she's a history professor, but the amount of detail that she goes into is just fantastic, and the plot line is just superb. I love the fact that there's so much history involved in it. This old manuscript that has some magic in it, and just superb. If you've not read the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness, I would seriously give it a go. If you like, witches, dragons, humans, vampires, demons, not dragons, witches, demons, vampires, and humans. Superb. I go pick it up. And then for the 2020 to 2022, I've gone with a new author to me completely, and that is Chapter and Curse by Elizabeth Penney. This is the first in a new series, and this again is set in a bookshop in Cambridge, and it's a cozy mystery. I read this one in March for March Mystery Madness along with Beth from Soul Stained Ink, and we both thoroughly enjoyed this one. A librarian and her mum come over to the UK to help an aunt run her bookshop in Cambridge. There's a murder, and they have to try and work out who the murderer is to clear her aunt's name. So really thoroughly enjoyed that book, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So those are my 7 books for the 70 years that the Queen has been on the throne. I hope you've enjoyed me picking out a book for each decade. I would like to know down below in the comments, have you read any of these books? And if so, what did you think of them? Do you think that do you have any books in your collection that would, fit the different decades? I would really love to know what they are. But yes, that's it for this video, friends. Hope you've enjoyed, but whatever you do, stay safe and happy reading. Bye!